One. Hey guys, this is Dardamost of Dardamost Dominions. I'm here with Novelle. Last time, say hi, Novelle.
Hey, how's it going, folks?
I'm also with RCK, who is a Skelemasters player.
Hello.
So we didn't go over the turn too much in depth last time, and there's a big war raging between Vanheim and Airmore. And one thing that you kind of miss when you are watching just this screen right here is what's happening in the grand scheme of things. So, Novelle, what exactly is happening right here where your army is down here and then you've got a bunch of red flags behind it?
Okay, so that is the classic elfing happening. This is the ability for Van with its high map move troops to flank behind an army and cut off their retreat paths. So what happened here is that in the previous turns, as I moved into Van's territory and took these territories with small raiding groups, I consolidated to take the fort that you see that he's currently trying to take back from me. It's currently besieged by a small group of Vans here. So that fort was taken, and the lands behind it used to belong to me. But, of course, being the Van player, he split off small groups of Vans, about 6 to a party, led by one of their level 1 priests, and started elfing those territories back for me. It doesn't really matter too much in the grand scheme of things. It cuts off the income I was stealing from them, but it doesn't really interfere with what's going on there. I'm a nation of forts, so elfing isn't very effective against me. As you can see, if he wanted to go deeper into my territory, as you see back there, every one of those pieces of land has a fort in it, and it's filled to the brim with skeletons. So he can't really take away those provinces. And I'm not income reliant to begin with, so I can't be punished by elfing. At most, he's just regaining the gold.
How worried were you that Satis was going to come in and flank you over here?
I had a nap with him, but I was thinking that perhaps he would break it. But at any point in time, I was never very concerned about Satis. Satis has a really poor matchup against me without bringing some very specific things to the table. And so the only thing that was there on those mountainsides were basic troops, Falchineers, elite warriors. The only thing that ever stood there was Satisian infantry. And no amount of that was ever going to do anything to me.
I didn't know that you guys had a nap. I thought that I don't really know why these troops are here if he's got a nap with you.
Yeah, I don't know either. So we settled the nap once I popped out of that second lower hand cave where the river's pouring out of it. Once I took that zone and realized that both of the connecting areas were Ohm, I reached out to him in the public Discord because we have open diplomacy for this game and asked him for a nap, and he did accept it. Those troops are stationed there, but I don't know the reason why.
Okay. Wait, why did you... Because I know that last turn you had popped Sudaroth. Why did you continue to move on to Vanheim?
2 reasons. One, as you can see, a massive army suddenly appeared in that fort.
I don't think you saw that last turn, though, did you?
No, I predicted it.
Okay. And why are you going deeper rather than coming back then?
It was not going to be possible for me to come back off of that. I would have loved to have gotten those troops out of that situation. I really would have. But as it stands, there were 2 issues with it. One, the season had changed. So the temperature had gone up so that the river crossing was no longer possible. If you notice now, when I was sieging and taking this fort about 2 or 3 turns ago, it was just cold enough for me to have left that fort and landed on Vanheim's capital by crossing that river. Okay. That's no longer possible. So the movement script for that army was to leave that castle, pop the one adjacent to it that you see all those troops on, and then eventually we would have moved down and tried to take out Van's cap. But on the turn in which this happened, I realized that 2 things were absolutely going wrong here. One, Van had way more troops than I thought that he would be able to field after fighting Ashdod. I completely overestimated Ashdod's ability to cause Vanheim casualties.
It was a very one-sided battle. Ashdod never was able to find anything that could kill elves efficiently.
Yeah. So there's a really easy answer for Ashdod. I mean, a super easy answer. It's built into one of their mages, the Earth 2 mage. And a lot of people think it's Earth elementals or some nonsense like that, but it's not actually. It's an alteration. It's Iron Warriors.
Do you mean Earth Grip? Sorry.
No, not Earth Grip. I mean Iron Warriors. So here's the problem that Ashdod has, right? Einhirs are high density attacks that deal 20 to I think 23 damage. At the 25 to 23 damage when they're berserked, and they will rip through their giants really quickly. Do you see the spell Iron Warriors at Alt 5?
I mean, yeah, but to get to Iron Warriors on an inefficient nation like what they are with their researching, you're going to be looking at probably turn 20 at the earliest, and even then, it's only an area to affect 1. I'm not exactly
it's
sure.
Pointless.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that it is nice, but I don't think that this is the solution whatsoever. Whereas something like Earth Meld would take the elves, it gets their defense down to 0, and then you just take one of those big old giants and knock them offside the head, and they just go flat. But I can't tell you because I don't test, and if I don't test, I don't know. So
right. Okay, so Earth Meld's great for the elves. The problem is that Van shouldn't use the elves to fight Ashdod. Like in a battle, the elves are not going to be as nice as the Einhirs are going to be. They're not as efficient. The elves have 2 big issues. The first issue with an elf is that most of its damage is front loaded into that lance, that light lance charge. And so what happens here is there should be one that has, yes, that one right there. The ones that are double earth random are perfect. Because not only can you use them off the bat for Iron Warriors when you have it, you can also give them gems, and they can Earth Meld, and they can Maws of the Earth. And there's a ton of things that they can do. But that right there will be the only thing that I would be producing. And when I see that Van's on my border, if I was playing Ashdod, and if you go back to the actual chassis for a second, you'll see that it's actually pretty research efficient. It's about as research efficient as Ashdod gets.
Yeah, it's not incredibly. The other problem is that you're locking down your capital. He only had 1 fort when they went to war with Vanheim, so he's getting maybe 13 per turn increase per turn. So I don't know if he could have gotten that high. And not only that, but he was also spending a lot on troops. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I didn't see anybody at research 5 by the time that it had started. But I'm not a research guy, so.
It's definitively possible to reach 5 as you're ending out the second year, or I guess you could say 0 through 12, 12 to 24. As you're getting closer to 24, if you did focus on research, if you were a magic nation, and I do believe that he was when I say magic, he took magic scales. I do believe this was Scales Ashdod, right?
It was, but like I said, he only had 1 fort, and that's kind of one of the problems. Is if you don't build forts, you don't get mages because you just don't have that ability. So
yeah, I mean it's really bizarre because I remember at the very beginning of the game he was buying out the mercenaries as Ashdod, and I'm like, that's a lot of gold, and you would think that gold would transfer into quite a lot of forts, labs, temples. And I think actually the only thing he needs is a fort in a temple to start producing the correct mage here. So, I mean, not a fort in a temple, a fort in a lab, because that mage isn't holy.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. I'm going to come in here real quick. Oh, did I get the magic mod? The
debug.
Yeah, the debug mod. I'm kind of interested in seeing. I want all the spells because I have a theory. Because I think personally that he should have gone Conjuration if he's going to go against elves, Now the downside is that you don't have a solution for your for the elves. You have a solution for the Einhirs. But as you said, I think that the Einhirs were the scary part. So I don't know how long this is going to take. So let me ask you something else real quick. So during that time, I mean, what do you do? Are you going to just avoid fights for the rest of the time, or like how do you do that?
So as you're going to have to be a little bit preemptive when it comes to elfing. When you're about to get elfed, generally speaking, there's a calm before the storm, and that calm before the storm tends to be in the form of a giant distraction. That distraction tends to be an army on your border, like 100 Einhirs, and you're like, that's what I'm going to have to worry about. Well, when you see that appear and you start moving your army off of your cap towards that enemy force, or combining your expansion parties together to make an army to start dealing with that, all of a sudden you then realize what the actual problem is. The problem is that as you've moved that army to deal with what's drawing your attention, I like to call it a distraction carnifex. The problem is that every one of the provinces around your capital has an elf party in it. And because there's an elf party in every one of those, it's going to pop once you're outside of that zone and completely cut off the income to your capital. And if you don't have a fort outside of your capital, your income drops to 0 in one turn. And the elves have effectively won the war already just through raiding. The only thing they need to do now is consolidate those troops and lock down that party that you went to go and fight the army with and prevent it from getting back to the cap. And you're going to be behind the ball the entire fight. There's just nothing you can do about it.
So I'm gonna try to do a quick battle of all it is two. Actually, let me use the Y. 2 guys that are casting fire elementals, and then I'm gonna have them retreat because I've got all the spells. I don't want to start, casting battlefield wipes. And then this guy's gonna stay behind. I'm kind of curious as to how this works. On the other side, I have just a small group of 40. Let me get these guys out. 60 Vanheers in 2 groups. We're gonna put them on hold and attack because we don't want to kill the mages too quickly. And I'm kind of curious as to who will win. Who do you think will win this one?
Let's see. They're fire 2. They're going to be ramping up for large fire elementals, right?
Yeah.
So basically 6 fire elementals versus 60 Einhirs. Let me see. You mind clicking the Einhir? 15 protection plus 5 from the Berserk. I think I'd give it to the Einhirs.
I think I'm going to give it to the Einhirs too. RCK, what do you think?
I was thinking the same thing. I feel like the Einhir's attack density is just going to wipe out the fire elementals.
Well, it's also just about the value that you're going to be getting out of attacking into fire elementals. Obviously, the Einhirs don't have magic weapons, so 75% of their attacks will be negated. The problem is that fire elementals also just don't have any protection, so you're going to get a lot of damage through if it gets through ethereal.
Okay, let's see what happens.
So you could get some pretty bad RNG here, but I'm thinking that they're going to be pretty safe. There's enough numbers here so that they don't really get overwhelmed by the heat aura, I do believe.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say right now that I'm not sure if I'd call this a win for the Einhirs. Holy crap.
Well, you got to recall that fire elementals are particularly good against them. That's just a hard fact of life. The fire shield, they have low length weapons. They have an axe and a sword, but they do have pretty good protection. So that's not really something that's 100% against them. So one of the things that's obvious here is that yes, if you brought nothing but Einhirs and you went up against an army that could produce enough fire elementals or air elementals, the ethereal elementals, you would come across the benefits of those Einhirs not being able to efficiently kill them, and the damage that they're able to put out through trample and flame strike being enough to actually kill a good number of Einhirs. But if you were to just put, like 10 vans with magic weapons in front of that, it wouldn't be an issue. But yeah, that's the big thing. The fire shield is guaranteeing that for every big swing that the Einheers get in, they're going to pretty
They're
much
taking 6 damage. Do you see this? Like 14 AP.
Yeah, it's 14 AP versus the Einheers protection of 16 before Berserk. So they only have 12 HP, but the thing that you need to realize about what happens when the Fire Elemental gets to swing back is its Flame Strike attack, and between those two, it does one shot. Well, not one shot, but it does clear the Einheers.
Not only is it's an AoE 1, so it's hitting
AoE
3
1,
of these guys.
No defense against it. There's nothing that you get to roll to prevent the Flame Strike from hitting you.
I mean, it just annihilates an entire square of these guys. And this is, what's funny about this is these are just 2 mages. I mean, I'd hope that you'd be able to get more than 2 mages out. And all you need is 1 battle like this. I don't think that he had more than this many, I can't really go back and check the previous turns. I've got them hidden, but it didn't seem like he had that many, Einheers on the cap. We can see it right here. Maybe he has a bit more.
I fought a battle with him where he brought over 300 Einheers, so he had a pretty good number all around. Period. He basically had a high production value for those. He literally produced a ton of them. But the whole point of it is that yes, if he only brought Einheers, I would say that Fire Elementals are the correct answer. The problem is that he just needs a unit with the magic weapon to go out in front of those Einheers, and that is a perfect job for a van.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious as to, I mean, he would have had to have known that. That's kind of the thing about Magic. If you have that one big battle, because you know what elves normally do with their scripting. You put the Einheers front and middle, you put your horsies on the side, tell the horsies to attack the rear, and tell your Einheers to attack the middle. And if you know that, then all you gotta do is just send your 3 fire mages right in front. I mean, just like right there in front. You have your big giants on the side to deal with the horsies. Now, I still don't know if you win, but at the bare minimum, he's getting wrecked through this. He's not coming back. Like, he's gonna take losses in comparison to what happened, which was absolutely no losses.
Elementals are a good solution to elves because at least the fire elemental doesn't interact with the thing that makes the elf really powerful, be it attack density from the Einheers or the high defense from the vans. So there is a benefit to that. There's definitely something to be gained from picking the fire elemental specifically, and he did not take fire res for his bless.
Oh my goodness, then fire elementals are absolutely the answer, because the moment he attacks with a hoof, he's taking 16 completely. Yeah, that would wreck these guys.
A little bit less than that. Remember that fire isn't armor negating; it's armor piercing, so the protection will still apply.
Yeah, but the thing is that when the fire elemental, or when they hit the fire elementals, there's a chance because there's a DRN on top of it, and the DRN
stand out.
And also, they're hitting twice, so they're suiciding themselves each time. Now the downside is that they have the magic weapons, so they would actually be hitting every single time. So I think it would be mutual destruction, but if you were able to get enough fire elementals out, fire elementals would wreck this force.
Yes, the problem is that, like, I do 100% comprehend where you're going with it. Just that looking at this game in particular, and just looking at, generally speaking, the type of scales that Van tends to run with, and outside of, like, Strange Luck, like finding that magical castle over there, Van should have more Vans, because they have a really low attrition rate, than Ashdod has fire-capable mages. Because remember, that mage isn't always going to roll fire.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But this is, I mean, I'm guessing that the war was pretty much over around turn 20. So you imagine 20 of them. So he would have had about anywhere from 5 to 7, depending on luck. I mean, if you're Grippa, then he would have had 0, but, you know.
Yeah. A 33% chance failed 20 times in a row. That's
Exactly.
totally Grippa's style.
If you get, but I mean, then you use all those mages out and you have the earth guys. I mean, I don't know. I haven't done the math on the research, but if you could get to Conjuration 5 and then get your Alt 2, then your fire guys can do elementals. So this guy does, Phoenix Power and then the fire elemental. And then your earth guys go over and do earth meld. And you do this on one big battle because that's the thing is you gotta pick your battle when you got the big magic, because if the person knows your magic, then they can counter it. A good example is, and I probably shouldn't be showing this turn with because the game is live. Is that currently like right here, if you see, we know that this guy right here has Wailing Winds. So, Wailing Winds, the most overpowered spell in the entire game. And we're using, you're not going to cast it, of course. We're going to use a Turbo Communion, and you know how Turbo Communions work, correct?
Yes, a regenerating Scrotty is going to be taking the major fatigue health damage from the overcasting from the communion.
There you go. So we've got a bunch of Scrotty here, and the number that is normally accepted is that you get about 8 of these little Seth Konas casting whatever they want to cast. But in this case, because we knew it was Wailing Winds, we're going to be bringing a metric crap ton of Communion Master. We're going to go way over 8. And so theoretically, if he retreats that Wailing Winds Master, or, worse, our little assassin here kills him, we're going to lose all of our slaves. And the idea behind it is that because we know the magic that he's using, we're able to counter it. And that's an important thing. You have to have your one battle. So yeah, just a kind of an interesting thing on, picking your fight when you're using magic.
Right. And I totally see your point. And so fire elementals are a solid answer. But outside of, I don't know why he chose to go with attack. Van's attack is more than competent enough to hit everything else. The only time I would go with attack is if I was looking at another elf nation in the game. That would be the only thing I could think of. Something that I know is going to be consistently 18 plus on defense. I would want my Seekers to have a +2 to attack.
He did it for the repel, dude. He absolutely did it for the repel.
But the repel is not consistent. It's a light lance. It's length 3. Plenty of things in the game have spears.
It's the idea behind it is that it's another layer of defense to keep your guys alive during expansion, and also if you're fighting against somebody like Ulm, then it also allows you to repel some of their stuff. Scalaria with their long deads. I think a lot of your units have short, but yours all have. I'm sorry. That's 50 morale, so that doesn't count. But,
well, yes. I mean, they're gonna punch through anyway. But even if you wanted to, 50% of all long dead have spears.
Okay.
That's just matching length doesn't give you the chance to repel, and like the Vietes, the Legionaries, and the Tserasiers all have spears, with the Tserasiers actually having a long spear.
It gives them an extra amount of ability to repel against at least some nations. Pan comes to mind, and I know that there's Amari in there, so there are other nations that he could repel against. And also during expansion, it reduces the number of units that you lose. That being said, I absolutely don't think that should have been his focus.
Yeah, no, I think that the 10 fire resist would be more appropriate here and what you would normally see. It didn't come into the game, of course, but that would have been a pretty critical weakness for him. So looking back and just pointing out towards the fight, the fire elementals would die 1-for-1 with a van with fire resistance on its plus. Because fire resistance is really doubly efficient in comparison to shock resistance. Shock resistance is more valuable, of course, because the damage taken is armor negating. But if your unit has armor, every point of fire resistance is that much better, because you're going to still get half your armor when dealing with AP fire damage. So, 10 fire resistance goes pretty far. It's almost the equivalent of taking 20 shock resistance. It's more than enough to deal with a fire elemental. And that's the problem that you would have, is that the vans could functionally clear the fire elementals, and the Einheers can clear the army. And that combination of those two things are incredibly efficient at just wiping so much that Ashdod can put out. But vans have a critical weakness, and it's something that most people decide not to account for, and it's that they're very low strength.
So we're going to move on, because I think this is the turn that your big fight happens. Yes, it is. Okay, yeah, and I want to go over this with you, because it looks like you paused your army, correct? Like you didn't move, you stayed still, and that's why you're on the defense, correct?
Yes. I did not actually leave that zone.
Did you cover any of your retreat paths at all?
For the army that was surrounded by 2 castles,
I don't think you had the ability, did you?
No, I did not. Not without making the army smaller. I could have perhaps broken the army off, but that would decrease the chances of there being any success found in this battle. So this battle was here to stay.
Now, do you have any other commanders other than your little archbishop dude?
For this battle, no, because I think the commander that came along with him, both of them have died.
Okay. So you only have one, so you can't raid out, and you can't give yourself a secondary line of retreat. Is that a problem for you?
Yes and no. So in this battle, once I realized that Van had way more than I thought he would be able to bring, I quickly determined that I was going to lose my profit here, which was a giant pain in the butt. But I decided to make it as costly as I possibly could, because I can easily replace what's here. And basically, in like 5 turns, a force very similar to this, if not larger, will be coming this way. It sucks to lose it. I thought it was more than sufficient to deal with a kind of exhausted after a war van, but it was absolutely not the case. There is a lot here, and I mean a lot, including the mage count, which was just awe-inspiring. And that's the thing that kind of always tilted these battles that we're going to have going forward slightly in his favor, is that he had a ton of mages available to him.
Okay, let's watch the battle and see what happens first. How scared are you of the arrows?
Not particularly. The regeneration on the lictors and on the Knights of the Unholy will clear any random arrow shot, and Blood Vengeance will also just outright kill most human level archers if they hit with an arrow, so it's not too important.
So this is your lictor core up here, correct?
Yes, the lictor core was behind a small wall of chaff. And it was there behind that small wall of chaff, very densely packed, to draw banishment, which is what you saw at the very beginning, is that almost every banishment landed on the lictors.
Okay. And you'd rather it land on the lictors than on your other units, correct?
Well, yes, because we wanted to keep it away from the knights. As you saw, the knights were over on the side, far back, and in a box.
Okay.
So it was pretty important that, because the knights have far less health. They're 6 health to the lictor's 20, meaning that the lictor can take a banishment or 2. The knight really cannot.
Okay. Okay, so the final result of that is he lost 5 mages, 42 Einheers, and a bunch of vans, and you lost 39 lictors, 28 undead, the knights, and then a bunch of crap. But more importantly, you lost your H4. So,
yes, I lost the point.
Outside of the H4, what was the most damaging of the bunch?
Oh, definitely losing the lictors. Lictors are something that power spike at critical mass, um, and they are functionally for me 1 gem a pop, basically. So that's 39 death gems that have been lost here in exchange for functionally 5 mages. And let's see, I think Einheirs are 25 gold a pop, so roughly about 1,000 gold plus whatever the vans are. It's not the most blowout as far as a loss is concerned, because it did run quite a pretty penny on him for gold. But it was definitively stopping any offensive I could put up for the next couple of turns, which was just tragic. I was hoping that he might have split those forces off, thinking that I was going to land on his cap. So he would bring one army to fight what was going to be moving towards his cap, and one army to cut off that path of retreat.
It looks like he did send some over to Kronberg and then some down here, so he still does have a small force here. But I think these crossbows came off the mountain. But yeah. I think you're right.
So if he had fallen for the bait and reinforced his capital, right? That army would have survived that battle and then moved back onto the castle across the river, and it would have met up with those 2 reinforcements that are moving towards it.
What's funny is I think that if you would have moved on his capital, you would have actually won that fight and cleared his cap PD.
Yeah, it was I don't know how he figured out that I was baiting him, but he completely got me there.
Yeah, I'll tell you, dude, there's some turns where I'm just sitting there going, there's no way they would have known that. They must have looked at my turn or cheated some way, because, I mean, there are some times where, like, some people just Jedi the crap out of you. And it's so frustrating.
His cap is producing, like, 10 Einheirs plus, producing a massive amount of mage power, because his cap-only mages are there, his dwarven smiths are there. And I don't think, when I was thinking about what to do, that he would risk having his cap shut down for a turn, especially with this war looming. And he was willing to risk it, and because he was willing to risk having his cap shut down, he caught me there.
With the guys here, I'm curious if he could have made it to his cap. I think he can. No, he can't. The Einheirs are absolutely too slow, aren't they?
They normally would be, but there's a road.
Commanders have sailing, I believe. So can't they cross the river?
They were here at Sodrith, though. So I don't think with 10 movement points he can get here with your army here, is what I'm saying.
So the road reduces the movement by 4, and an enemy province increases the movement by 2. Their movement 10. He could actually have reached Kronberg.
It's 2 in and 2 out, dude. It's 16. To get from here to here is 16. You got to remember his cap is also a desert. And it's off the road.
That is true.
I think, because I've done this before and on this map, and going from one place with an enemy in between to here is 16 movement points. And I don't know how. I can't tell you the exact movement to do it, but I can actually remember, because I was here. Or no, I was here, the enemy was here, I tried to get here, and we got down here only because we had 16 movement points. So I think that, to be honest, I don't think he could have gotten back to his cap in time. That being said, if you would have killed this force right here and you would have won this battle, dude, I mean, he was dead at that point.
Yeah. I mean, it was worth the risk. There's a giant pile of reinforcements following behind it. And more to come from there. But I had made that bet thinking that he would have, even if he had moved his more high movement speed people back, like the Vans and some of the leaders, just to protect his cap, and moved in with the Einheirs, I would have won that battle.
Now another question is, you only put 1 PD in there. Do you think that more PD would have helped you in that situation?
I left the PD low in order to facilitate this type of bait, so that the scouting information would say that there was not any organized local defense, basically, or the message right beyond that, just so he might think that I was abandoning that. And if you go back and look at the chat during that time, he was calling out challenges for me to stick and fight, because he also thought that I'd be moving around and avoiding him. So
Yeah,
it was once again trying to play that mind game to make him think that I was going to head towards his capital.
it doesn't show what's going to happen. It shows what's there right there. So if you think that the battle is going to happen that turn, you can pump PD that turn, and there will be no warning whatsoever. But if he doesn't attack you that turn, then he'd actually have the information, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. Well, I don't think it would have really have mattered, nor would I have wanted to spend gold there, because once again, that army was in a pretty bad location. It would have been amazing if I could have won it, but the PD type isn't also too much of a contribution. I just don't think that a surplus of numbers would have been any more likely to make me come out on top, especially just looking at the sheer number of mages that he had, because it's just militia and light infantry.
Yeah, it's kind of crappy PD. I'm kind of curious if it would have drawn any spells whatsoever, because there were what was it? Didn't he have? I thought he had air elementals.
Yes, he did eventually summon.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah.
Okay, so
right around contact time.
What's funny is that the air elementals got I don't know if they got sticky. I mean, this guy should be flying through the air and going someplace. Oh, there they go. Okay, so they're now flying in the air. My question is, normally they attack rear, and it looks like, yeah, they attack closest instead.
Yeah, I think they prioritized the threat level based off of the HP pool that was adjacent to them, because they basically went towards two of the more heavily what's the word for it? Heavily HP.
The high HP, yeah.
Areas.
Yeah. What amazes me, normally I see them go almost straight to attack rear. Like they're on, because they fly, they go attack rear, and then they would have, given this guy. But I don't think that would have been a bad. Oh no, because that was your only leader too.
Yeah. Except he's not too easy to actually kill. He has low protection, true, but he also has higher defense than the standard troops.
But it's shock damage, dude. It would have gone right through.
No, they would trample.
Do they trample? He's just. I thought they only had size 1.
It should be a size 3 elemental.
Oh, is it size 3? Okay.
Yeah. Lesser elemental. Well, that one's been popped down, but I'm pretty sure that the lesser elemental pops out at size 3.
Okay. Even at that point, the protection doesn't help you against trample, I don't think. But a size 3 trampling a size 2 is not that much.
Trample is AP, so protection does help.
Are you sure about that?
AP, yeah, trample is just AP strength damage. It's not armor negating.
Okay, because I thought it was something different. Okay.
Yeah, no, trample is just AP strength damage.
Let's see. So these are the guys right here, and they are absolutely a size 3.
Yes, size 3 trampler.
I'm kind of curious as to what it would, or how this would work. Is that Sakane? Hey, Sakane, how are you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Okay, so I've got a question for you. We have an incident here. Can you see the stream?
Yeah, I'm just checking it now. Oh, you're doing the weird thing where you're like streaming the...
Yeah, it's something with my connection's not letting me do the main game here. I can try to get it.
Yeah, see if you can. But if not, I could kind of see it.
Yeah, it's a little bit blurry, but it's still visible.
Okay, let me see if this works here. Can you see, or is it really dark? Okay,
there you go.
Okay, so he's got the size 3 mini elementals. Why did they attack closest? They go up in the air. I'm going to try to make this go slowly. They go up in the air, and then they pop onto the lictors, rather than back here on his only commander.
The air elementals?
Yes.
They're not... Default air elementals aren't holding attack rear. They're just attack.
Okay, so they attack whatever they possibly can get their hands on.
Yeah, elementals, like troops that are summoned in the battle, are just scripted to attack. They're not like attack rear or anything. Just because they're flyers doesn't mean they're going to go attack the back. Although you might want that, but that's not what they do.
Now, let's say theoretically one got back here and started trampling this guy. How much danger is he in with 5 bodyguards, lictor bodyguards?
Well, if the for what can we click on him? What are his stats? First of
You
all?
can see him right here. Oh, is it froze up? Can you see the stats?
No, I can't.
Yeah,
It's frozen.
It is frozen.
Oh, crud. Okay, then I will try to do the OBS again.
So the issue is all right. So first of all, there is no shock resistance, so he might just get zapped. Is there magic weapons?
Yes.
There are magic weapons.
Yeah. So the issue is that it's a bit down to luck. I don't know what the numbers would be, but the lictors would have a good chance with their magic weapons of just chopping down the air elemental, especially if it's a small one. It'll only take like 3 hits, I guess, to kill it. Right, because it has size 3, so size 2, size 1, and then it dies.
Yeah, the dying shape.
And it's only going to trample on size 3. Like it's only going to get a trample chance on its first form, on its size 3 form, right? And then it's going to take a hit, and it'll get down to size 2, so it won't be trampling anymore. So I don't think the air elemental, a size 3 air elemental, isn't going to do too great against that. But he could always get unlucky and just zap him with like just the lightning attack. And it's not that many hit points, but
It's a little bit more than what's given. So the lightning attack cannot one shot the prophet.
yeah, I don't think you can one shot it. Yeah, so it'd have to be really unlucky, like hit him twice or hit and trample. But size 3 elementals are like, they're annoying, but it's not the end of the world.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Okay, well, we're gonna stop it here. Oh my goodness. Okay, and then we're gonna catch up in the next episode and talk about the Pan versus Mari matchup. So, Novelle, thank you for joining in.
Yes, sir.
RCK, sorry we didn't get too much of you in this one, but thanks for joining.
Oh, it's all good. See ya.
And Zach, thanks for joining us for this for the last little bit.
Yeah, just coming in at the tail end of it. Sure thing.
Okay, guys, see you in the next one.